if we're not aware that Wheel of Time was still in the area. Wheel of Time, that kind of rings a bell. Yeah, that bomb that Amazon had before they did that bomb that Rings of Power that is delayed for a couple of years, but it's going to come back and bomb. I guarantee. So click the links, join the channel here over at Subscribe Star. When does this soy boy era end? Not soon enough. I saw this article on Wheel of Time, something about how you're going to immerse yourself deeply into the next season. It's going to be a world to take you away, and the only comparison I can think of is something graphic that I guess I won't repeat here. You think you're knee deep in something wonderful, smelling the wildflowers, and you're actually rolling around in something a bit more earthy. All this diversity cringe is a fad, and it's not exactly that it's going to be forever or not, because that's not up to us, that's up to them. The things we can control, if you remember your serenity prayer, is not supporting them. I think more people are going to leave the mainstream, the soy boy, cat lady type of fictional world that they seem to love so much, and join us on the alt media. And then, hopefully they move over to the super base chat alt media. That's the power of networks and finding like-minded friends online. The online stuff is really fascinating, where you can turn from like a digital relationship to eventually starting meeting people IRL. It's interesting to figure out. Let's just see that like there's a lot of people that are on the same page, and now we have these tools to kind of reach out and make connections. You learn that there are many people who are sick of all this poison. It's no honor to be well adjusted in a sick society. If these global homogenization types did this 20 years ago, they would have been more successful, but now it's a dialogue and not a monologue. They can't just lecture us. Now we get to speak back, and they hate that. They try to shut that down as hard as. But the diversity in comics thing, the guy reviewing comics in his car with a cell phone, that was such an eye opener for a lot of people. He was doing it well. Not that part. It was the response to a guy with a cell phone talking about comics, the hate that came his way, the insane, incandescent, murderous rage about a guy talking about comics, where he held the phone in one hand and he turned the page. It's just as low budget as it could possibly be, and he was very insightful. But it wasn't like, oh, if you don't like it, just don't watch it. What happened to that? Oh yeah, well, it's not for you. You're not into a guy criticizing comics. And it wasn't even like the people loved the comics. Oh, some of them did. Some of them were really into those worlds. But it was like they don't want you criticizing something. They just want you to accept the propaganda. The thing is, nowadays, we can get on social media and call this stuff lame and shame people for enjoying anything from the MSN, which we absolutely should be doing. No man should accept the mainstream media. And I'm constantly being surprised by a growing amount of based women who are rejecting this cancer as well. It won't stop me from being sexist, but sometimes it is kind of a little bit of an eye-opener. So this diversity push, which is seen in Wheel of Time, which I subjected myself to last night, it's rough. It's rough getting through. It's not organic. It's a globalist, Marxist bit of propaganda from the worst people on earth. They want to sever all roots. They want to cut people off from their history and their blood tribes. They want lost, rootless people, because those kind of people are easily enslaved. In fact, there's tons of studies that show it. It's like, I guess, cultural relativism or moral relativism, I think, where people who have Mormons and Christians and that kind of thing, they have a strong connection to something that they're not. They did an analysis of people, and it turns out like people who don't have anything to connect to are just completely. They're easily influenced by outside influences and peer pressure. Where if you have a core dogma, whether it's some kind of religion or some kind of tribal identity, you're just not swayed by that, because what you are and you know what you and your tribe believes. And you look at Hollywood and go like, oh yeah, those are all degenerate parasites. And the mainstream they don't have that kind of shield and protection and network. So they just go, oh, whatever they say, we're going to trust them. Like, wait, so like for the past 100 years, nobody trusted the media and government. Like that was a common refrain of the left. And now suddenly within the past few years, you're on board. Oh, well, they made us scared, so we had to trust them. But if they weren't trustworthy before, they're not trustworthy now. But you understand, I was frightened. You're just going to have to get over that fright. Anyway, so people without a religion or pagan or ethnic or national identity, where countries aren't the French with the French history. All that needs to be erased. It's just strangers from all over the world living in what like used to be France. People who have no connection to France or its history. A country turned from natal, a nation, into a commercial zone run by NGOs. That's the kind of thing they want. That are where the country isn't of the people. It's run by these non-governmental organizations that actually have more power than the government, which should be representative of the people. And in fact, there's a push for some of these NGOs. They wanted representation at the UN and in local governments. These businesses, these international businesses, who are just kind of slowly pushing to be the open rulers of nations, because they're not nations anymore. A lot of times they're commercial zones, though. I mean, if you want to push back on that, you can. And they're using the power of media propaganda to brainwash people into accepting being erased. Hollywood is the biggest psyop on earth. No religion comes close to the power of Hollywood. It's insane that people allow it in their homes. And the funny thing is, with the 60s, in the 1960s, when this stuff was really kicking off, like, yeah, there was TV in the 50s and whatnot before, but the cultural shift happened from Hollywood in about 1963, and there's a theory of it that it says they point to I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched as the start of mask-off subversion of the patriarchy, which is a good, like, people hear that word patriarchy and they've been conditioned to stimulus response. Oh, it's negative. All these other hot words, and they're like, is there any cognition going on in there? Why do you feel that? And they go, oh, because the media programmed me to say that. It's just stimulus response. There's no thought process. Patriarchy is a good thing, or at least think about it, come up to your own decision. So in the 60s, when this stuff was kicking off, there used to be people talking about how the media was literally brainwashing people, and it was kind of across the spectrum of left and right. There was a counter media campaign, but after a while it disappeared because the brainwashing was complete. Now, because of social media, the awareness of how toxic the media is coming back, because we have platforms to offer a rebuttal to the hatred coming from the mainstream media. And now, instead of being a hippy-dippy kill your TV movement from the leftists, it's the far extremely cool-based Chad right wing telling you how evil the media is. Someone pointed out that the platforms banned the use of too powerful words because they sum up the media in Hollywood so well. Let's euphemisms will be lighthearted and frivolous and disabled. They had to ban those two words because they're just such a perfect shortcut to describing a woke SJW movie. Now we just say it's for soy boys, which is actually a good combination of the G and R slurs. Soy sums it up pretty well. So anyway, no, Wheel of Time is not going to immerse you in the roses of the story. All you get is fertilizer. They say words in the article. The words don't matter because I turned on the show. I raised the mainsail, and it's set in some European vibe village where they're speaking English, not American butchered English. Wheel of Time is influenced by Lord of the Rings, which is influenced and much improved from earlier European fantasy. In fact, in the interviews, Tolkien points out some of the names, like Shadowfax and stuff, are directly taken from earlier European fantasies as kind of a homage to them. It's all deeply set in Europa. That's what makes it believable. That's when you're like the Lord of the Rings books and the early movies. It's like was immersion. You really felt like you were there. Aragorn cruising around on his horse in New Zealand or whatnot. It's mythology from the people of Europe. They're special and unique, and they should be respected and valued. And I guess nowadays that's suddenly politically incorrect to say, but they say that about every other tribe and culture, just not yours for some reason. Instead, these Hollywood parasites subvert and corrupt them. They don't do it to Indian, East Asian, Arab, African, or any other culture and people. They just tear down and corrupt tribe Europa. Doesn't anyone pull their head out of the sand and wonder why they're doing this? Nobody's curious about this hatred directed at one group of people by Hollywood. Are Amerifats that deeply brainwashed by prawns, sports ball, corn syrup, junk food, bread and circuses, distractions? They're just too deep in the diabetic coma to ask some questions. Oh, no. We mustn't ask questions. Questioning the media is istophobic. Says who? The same media that vacations on Epstein's paradise and makes cuties on Netflix? If hating the media is istophobic, then that's a good thing. They're just redefining words all the time. It's like you can redefine them also. Oh, this company, a Yelp review of this company, they're istophobic. It's like, that's the place I want to shop on, because I know the people who are saying that are just, political activists. So you have this pub setting for this Wheel of Time. It's set like in an English equivalent, and they're speaking crikey mate all what English, but it has like Africans, Asians, Indians, and they all love each other and they form families and tribes together. Except I guess you're seeing them at the very start of their mixing, and they just happen to get along perfectly because you have people who are pure European and pure African, and they just like sub-Saharan, and they just got together and they have relationships. It's like, okay, so every time we watch this Hollywood globalist programming, it doesn't matter if it's the Dark Tower. They did the exact same scene where you see clearly distinguished people that are 100% of their tribe, and they just happen to come together because after 200 years, they are all going to look the same. Yeah, yeah, that's Hollywood. That's propaganda. That's literally the definition of propaganda. That's not how tribes work. It's just an absurdity. Don't you think it's a bit off that nationalism is for you is absolutely prohibited but encouraged for all other groups? What do you think they're saying by erasing and replacing you with them? Oh, it's just Hollywood. Yeah, but let's explore what exactly is their message. I mean, pretend that you were like me and you could turn off the shackles of political correctness and just say what you observe. Imagine if you had unfettered free speech. What do you see them doing? Not what they're saying, but what's actually happening. Why is Hollywood subverting European stories but not other culture stories? Why is it globalism to Hollywood the only acceptable position as sort of a default? Why isn't it acceptable to just say, oh yeah, we're making a nationalist patriarchal films and comics. We think globalism is stupid. We believe in men leading and tribalism in nations and not countries run by NGOs, commercial zones. So you make some Swedish movie and it only has Swedish people in it, for example. We haven't seen the value in diversity. So why aren't those films getting made? Why can't people just say, yeah, diversity and feminism and globalism, all that kind of bullshit, cancer, that's just propaganda. We're not into it. Inclusivity means to make things for all people. That's literally bullshit propaganda, and we think it's lame. Except, BlackRock and Fink won't fund those types of movies, and the networks won't carry them, and the Twitter outrage mob, unless they're set in 1775, as that recent interview showed you. Goes, why isn't there diversity in your film? And the guy goes, it's like set in Northern Europe in 1775, buddy. Can you stop being a soy boy pussy? And the reporter asking the question, sir, that's a bridge too far for me. I'm very comfortable being a pussy. And you think about like what soy boys these men are now, and you go like, 500 years ago you'd be you might be farming and fighting off mountain lions, or you might be invading villages and snuggling people left and right. You look at them now, it's like, what happened to you, dude? These just bearded, soft, gentle soy boys. That you look at them like, you have ancestors, right? Like maybe look back, close your eyes, try to meditate, get some spiritual contact with your ancestors. Like they would look at you. What would they look at? Oh, well, they were just intolerant bigots. You think maybe you're the problem and your ancestors were right all along? Anyway, the thing is, you get these Twitter outrage mobs that complain about a base Chad show that nobody's forcing them to watch. They don't want anyone to watch it. In the same way with comics, and people criticizing comics back in the day. It's important to talk about all this kind of stuff, about Hollywood propaganda, even if it's only for a video that makes $1, because fighting evil is sort of its own reward, and they are evil. These people are literally evil. Anyway, nobody's watching Wheel of Time. And when Rings of Power comes back on the air, nobody's going to watch that. Or The Witcher Blood Origin, or the other Witcher, they replace him with somebody, or any of this kind of Willow. Yeah, hey, how'd Willow do? Oh, it's fucking cancer. So it didn't get renewed. Nobody watched it. Or they go, oh, this latest show, it got all these awards, but it didn't get renewed. Why is that? Because nobody watched it. I mean, it's just a lot of it's just numbers. If the numbers were there, it would get renewed. They don't. Why do they always cancel the diverse shows with the BLT pox walks furry otherkin? Because they're not getting numbers. You freaking idiot! Why do you think the diverse shows get canceled? Because 10,000 soy boys and cat ladies watch it, where it needs 1 million people to watch it. That's why. If it got watched, there's not enough people like you these brainwashed commie idiots who are too young to have lived through the horrors of Bolshevism. They just have no. Oh, that's just those were the wreckers of progress. They're the intolerant bigots. Yeah, like 50 million in Russia and the same or more in China. Oh, well, those were wreckers of progress. We had to get rid of them to make a better society. But you didn't succeed. You just got rid of them. You just fertilized the fields. Yeah, we're going to do it again better this time. I know. They really are. Like, they really, really are going to. They're not going to do it again better because that's impossible. It's against human nature, but they will do it again unless people decide they're pull their thumbs out of their asses and their heads out of the sand and start to awaken. But I don't know. Maybe that's asking the impossible for corn syrup fed Amerifat. I just want my bread and circus. I just want it to, can I watch sports ball? No, you can't watch sports. What about college? No, it's the same thing, dude. No. But no, sorry. You're gonna have to turn off the bread and circuses and be alone with your thoughts for a couple days, and eventually you go, it's kind of like putting on the they live glasses when you're not constantly distracted by what the media parasites want to distract you with, and you kind of see it from the outside because you're not in it. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Support me over at Subscribe Star by joining the channel here, and I'll see you guys all next episode.